In this segment, you are going to learn how to read and understand food labels. Food labels are called nutrition facts labels. They're very important because they give us information about the content and nutrients in the food products we consume. Most people have heard of the dietary guidelines and the food pyramid, but not very many can read and understand the nutrition labels. A nutrition label can look somewhat complicated and intimidating for most people who are unfamiliar with nutrition. Effective consumer label education requires active learning. You should not only learn how to read it, but practice label reading every time you shop. It is also helpful to schedule a consultation with a nutritionist to help you understand and practice label reading. Here are some key questions that we will discuss in this segment. How many calories am I actually eating? Is that number low, medium, or high? What nutrients should I limit or get enough of, and why? What is the footnote and ingredients list, and why do they matter? How can I tell if the percentage of daily values is high or low? What about proteins, carbohydrates, and fiber? These questions represent the framework for our skill-building approach to label reading. Let's begin by looking at the label most people see. Consumers use the label for different reasons. If you're like most people, you probably look at calories and fat grams first. Depending on whether you have specific medical conditions, such as diabetes and hypertension, you might want to pay attention to other values such as total carbohydrates and sodium. The label gives you information on the nutrients in one serving. Now let's look at this more detailed version. It identifies the 6 basic parts we need to look at in a nutrition label. But before going into detail, let's just look at the 2 main sections of the label. The colored section on top, all but number 5, contains product-specific information. These are the serving size, calories, and nutrient information. That can vary with each product. Now look at the footnote at the bottom of the label. It contains the daily values for the nutrients listed and general dietary advice. The footnote, which is not found in smaller products, never changes from product to product. The first thing you need to be looking at is the serving size, the amount of food that most people typically eat at one time. People should adjust the amount of food they eat based on calories and nutritional needs. The serving size is a guide rather than a recommendation of how much to eat. The nutrition information listed on the nutrition facts label is usually based on 1 serving of the food. Servings per container shows the total number of servings in the entire food package or container. It is common for one package of food to contain more than 1 serving. Some containers may also have a label with 2 columns. One column listed the amount, calories, and nutrients in 1 serving, and the other column listing the information for the entire package. Now let's look at calories. What are calories? Calories refer to the total number of calories or energy supplied from all sources: carbohydrate, fat, protein, and alcohol. To maintain a healthy body weight, balance the number of calories you eat and drink with the number of calories your body uses. How many calories am I actually eating? Many people answer this question by simply looking at the calories listed on the label. The first thing you should be looking at is the serving size and the number of servings per container. The number of servings you consume will determine the number of calories and nutrients you actually eat. How many calories should you be consuming? That depends on your current age and body shape, as well as your health condition and goals. We have a separate segment dedicated to calculating your own calorie requirements. On the nutrition label, the 2,000 calorie a day is used as a general guide for nutrition advice. 40 calories per serving of an individual package is considered low. 100 calories per serving is considered moderate, and 400 calories is considered high. Now let's look at tag claims. Be careful with tags and claims. The terms fat-free and no added sugar do not mean calorie-free. These food items may have as many calories as the regular versions. Always check the nutrition facts label and compare the calories and nutrients in the modified version to the regular version. Now let's look at the percentage of daily value. These numbers tell you if a serving of food is high or low in nutrients. The numbers do not add up vertically to 100%. Instead, each nutrient with a percentage of daily value is based on a 100% of the daily requirements for a 2,000 calorie diet. For example, the daily value for saturated fat is less than 20 grams per day, which equals 100%. If the label says one serving of food contains 1.5 grams of saturated fat, then the percentage of daily value for saturated fat for the specific food is 8%. That means the food contains 8% of the maximum amount of saturated fat an average person should consume in one day. As you can see, 3 of the nutrients do not have percentage of daily value. 2 of them are the trans fats and the sugars. The reason they don't have daily value is because no amount is recommended since they are not considered healthful. The protein also doesn't have a daily value. This is because protein requirements are based on person's weight and activity level and they can vary. Also, current scientific evidence indicates that protein intake is not a public health concern for adults and children over the age of 4. So, since some nutrients on the nutrition facts label do not have percentage of daily value, use the number of grams when you choose products. Now let's look at which nutrients should you limit and why. You might have heard that you should try and limit fat. Eating too much fat, saturated fat, trans fat, and cholesterol or sodium may increase your risk of certain chronic diseases like heart disease, some cancers, or high blood pressure. So when we say limit these nutrients, the goal is to stay below 100% of the daily value for each one of these nutrients per day. As we mentioned, trans fat doesn't have a percentage of daily value because it is not considered safe in any amounts. Scientific reports link trans fat, saturated fat, and cholesterol with raising LDL or bad cholesterol, which increases your risk of heart disease. So, which nutrients do I need more of? Americans don't get enough dietary fiber, vitamins A and C, and calcium. Eating enough of these nutrients can reduce the risk of some diseases and conditions. For example, getting enough calcium may reduce the risk of osteoporosis, a condition that results in brittle bones as we get older. Fiber also has many health benefits. It keeps you regular and it keeps you full for a longer period of time, and it reduces the risk of heart disease. Let's talk about cholesterol. Cholesterol is waxy, fat-like substance found in all cells of the body. Cholesterol is produced by the body, primarily by the liver, and is also consumed from food. The human body makes all the cholesterol that it needs, so it is not necessary to get any cholesterol from food. Dietary cholesterol, or the cholesterol we obtain from food, is found only in animal products including beef fat, chicken fat, and pork fat or lard, dairy products such as milk, cheese, and yogurt, egg yolks, meats and poultry, processed meats and poultry products such as bacon, hot dogs, jerky, some luncheon meats and sausages, shellfish such as lobster and shrimp, spreads such as butter, cream cheese, and sour cream. According to the dietary guidelines for Americans, many foods that are high in cholesterol are generally high in saturated fat and thus increase the risk of heart disease. The recommendation here is to keep the cholesterol intake as low as possible while maintaining a healthy diet. The dietary value for cholesterol is less than 300 milligrams per day. Compare and choose foods to get less than the 100% of the daily value of cholesterol each day. And remember, 5% of the daily value is considered low, 20% or more is considered high. Here are some tips on how to select foods with lower cholesterol. Try fish and plant sources of protein such as beans and peas, soy products, and unsalted nuts and seeds. Choose lean meats or poultry. Trim or drain the fat from the meat. Remove the poultry skin before eating. Instead of whole milk, use fat-free milk or plant-based beverages such as soy, rice, and almond. Cook and bake with liquid oils or water sauté your vegetables. Choose foods that do not contain cholesterol and saturated fat, such as beans and peas, fruits, vegetables, and whole grains. Let's talk about fiber. Dietary fiber is a nutrient to get more of. Diets higher in fiber can increase the frequency of bowel movements and can reduce the risk of developing heart disease. So what is fiber? Dietary fiber is a type of carbohydrate made up of many sugar molecules linked together. It is bound together in such a way that it cannot be easily digested in the small intestine. There are two types of dietary fiber, soluble and insoluble. Fiber can make you feel full, which may lower your intake of calories. Fiber also aids in digestion and helps maintain blood glucose levels healthy, preventing high spikes. How much fiber do you need per day? The daily value for dietary fiber is 28 grams per day. This is based on a 2,000 calorie daily intake. Your daily value may be higher or lower depending on your calorie needs. Naturally occurring dietary fiber is found in a variety of foods including beans and peas, fruits, nuts, seeds, vegetables, wheat bran, whole grains such as whole wheat, brown rice, popcorn, and quinoa, and foods made with whole grain ingredients such as breads, cereals, crackers, and pasta. Tips to increase your fiber intake. Look for whole grains on the ingredients list of food package. These are things like barley, brown rice, buckwheat, bulgur, millet, oatmeal, quinoa, oats, rye, and whole wheat. Try whole grains as side dishes and switch to whole grain versions of breads, cereals, pasta, and rice. Limit products made with refined grains such as cakes, cookies, chips, and crackers. Start your day with a bowl of oatmeal. Top your oatmeal with fruit for sweetness and extra fiber. Increase your fruit intake, fresh, frozen, or dried, and include a variety of fruits. Keep vegetable snack trays handy. Choose colorful dark green, orange, and red vegetables such as broccoli florets, carrots, and bell peppers. Add beans such as garbanzo, kidney, or pinto, lentils, and peas to salads, soups, and side dishes, or serve them as a main dish. Let's talk about saturated fat. You should get as little saturated fat as possible. Like all fat, saturated fat provides calories or energy for the body. It helps the body absorb certain vitamins and support many body processes. But the human body makes all the saturated fat that it needs, so there is no need to get it from food sources. So, how much is okay? The dietary guidelines recommend consuming less than 10% of calories per day from saturated fats. Most Americans exceed the recommended daily limits. Where do we find saturated fat? Saturated fat is found in multiple different product foods. Meats and poultry and their fats such as beef fat, chicken fat, pork fat or lard, vegetable shortening, baked goods like brownies, cakes, cookies, donuts, pastries, and pies, condiments, gravies, and salad dressings, dairy products like milk, cheese, and yogurt, desserts such as ice cream and pudding, processed meats like bacon, hot dogs, jerky, cold cuts, and sausages, pizza, sandwiches like hamburgers, hot dogs, and sub sandwiches, snack foods like chips, crackers, microwave popcorn, and pretzels, spreads like butter, margarine, cream cheese, and sour cream, sweets like chocolates and candies, and some tropical plants such as coconut, palm, and palm kernel oils. Now let's see a couple of different types of fat that might be an overall better option for you. Monounsaturated and polyunsaturated fats are found in higher proportions in plants and seafood, and they're usually in liquid form at room temperature. The exceptions are some tropical oils like coconut and palm oil. In comparison with the saturated fats, the monounsaturated and polyunsaturated fats are associated with reduced risk of heart disease. Let's see where these types of fats are found. We will usually see them in a variety of food products: avocados, mayonnaise and oil-based dressings, nuts, olives, seeds, soft margarines in a form of liquid or spray, and vegetable oils like canola, olive oil, peanut, and safflower oils. Now let's look at the most dangerous type of fat, trans fat. Trans fat has detrimental health effects and is not safe in any amount. There are two sources of trans fat. Trans fat formed naturally is produced in the stomach of some animals such as cattle and sheep. Trans fat formed artificially during food processing is created during a manufacturing process called partial hydrogenation, in which hydrogen is added to liquid vegetable oil to make it more solid and more resistant to becoming spoiled or rancid. Now let's see where it is found. Trans fat formed naturally is found in small amounts in some animal products such as dairy products, beef, and lamb. Trans fat formed artificially during food processing is found in partially hydrogenated oils, which were used in a variety of foods such as baked goods, coffee creamers, frostings, snack foods, and stick margarine. Now let's look at protein. This is a nutrient that we hear about a lot. Protein is found in foods from both plants and animals. Protein is made up of amino acids, which are linked to one another in long chains. There are 20 different amino acids. 9 of them are essential and they cannot be made by the body. They must be obtained from food. 11 of them are non-essential and they can be made by the body from essential amino acids consumed in food or in the normal breakdown of body proteins. So why is it important to consume protein? Protein provides 4 calories per gram. Protein is a component of every cell in the human body and is necessary for proper growth and development, especially during childhood, adolescence, and pregnancy. It helps your body build and repair cells and body tissue. It is a major part of your skin, hair, nails, muscles, bones, and internal organs. Protein is also found in almost all body fluids. Protein is important for many body processes such as blood clotting, fluid balance, immune response, vision, and the production of hormones, antibodies, and enzymes. Most Americans are needlessly concerned with their intake of protein. Why needlessly? Because most of us intake more than enough. So how much protein should you consume? The daily value for protein is 50 grams per day. This is based on a 2,000 calorie daily diet. Your daily value may be higher or lower depending on your calorie needs. Where is protein found? Most people have the misconception that in order to get protein, they have to consume high amounts of meats and other animal products. The fact is that plants are the healthiest source of protein. Here are some of the foods where you can find protein. They all have different amounts of protein. That is why it is important to read the nutrition label to find out how many grams are in a particular food. Protein is found in a variety of foods including beans and peas, dairy products, eggs, meats and poultry, nuts and seeds, seafood, soy products, whole grains, and vegetables. Now let's talk about sodium. This is a nutrient to get less of. Sodium is a mineral and one of the chemical elements found in salt. Diets higher in sodium are associated with an increased risk of developing high blood pressure, which can raise the risk of heart attacks, heart failure, stroke, kidney disease, and blindness. So what does sodium do? The human body needs this nutrient in very small amounts. Sodium is important for many body processes such as fluid balance, muscle contraction, and nervous system function. As a food ingredient, sodium has multiple uses, such as in curing meat, baking, thickening, retaining moisture, enhancing flavor, and as a preservative. This is why we see it in so many food products, and it is especially high amounts in the highly processed foods. Most Americans exceed the recommended daily intake. Americans, in general, eat about 3,400 milligrams of sodium per day. The daily value for sodium is less than 2,300 milligrams per day. That is equal of about 1 teaspoon of salt. 5% of the daily value is considered low. 20% of the daily value is considered high. Where is sodium found? Over 70% of dietary sodium comes from eating packaged and prepared foods, and only a small amount, about 11%, comes from salt added to food when cooking and eating. Some of the highest amounts of sodium in the standard American diet are found in the following foods: breads and rolls, pizzas, sandwiches, cold cuts and cured meats, soups, burritos and tacos, snack foods such as chips, crackers, microwave popcorn, and pretzels, chicken, cheese, egg dishes, and omelets. Here are some tips on how to lower your sodium intake. Look for reduced sodium or no salt added labels. Prepare your own food when you can. Flavor food with herbs and spices and no salt added seasonings. Choose fresh meats or plant-based protein instead of the deli meats. Buy fresh or frozen vegetables. Rinse canned foods before eating to remove the excess sodium. Choose reduced sodium condiments. Choose low sodium or no salt added nuts, seeds, and snack foods. We have another segment dedicated to sodium and label comparison. The segment is part of our hypertension program and is dedicated to help people who would like to prevent and control high blood pressure. Now let's talk about the nutrient that many people consider to be the enemy, but is it really? Carbs. Carbohydrates are found primarily in plant foods with the exception of dairy products which contain lactose. Total carbohydrate on the nutrition label includes total sugars, dietary fiber, sugar alcohols, which are a type of carbohydrate that chemically has the characteristics of both sugars and alcohols but are not completely absorbed by the body. Each gram of carbohydrate provides 4 calories. The human body breaks down the carbohydrates into glucose. Glucose in the blood is the primary energy source for the body. Glucose can be used immediately or stored in the liver and muscles for later use. Where are carbohydrates found? Carbohydrates are divided into 2 groups, simple and complex. Complex carbohydrates generally come from natural whole foods such as fruits, starchy and non-starchy vegetables, whole grains, legumes, and nuts. They contain fiber and are beneficial to our diet. Simple carbohydrates are highly processed refined carbs such as candies, cookies, soda, fast foods and junk foods, processed breads and cereals, and dairy products. They are generally very high in calories, low in fiber, and contain low nutritional value. These are the type of products you want to try and stay away from if you are trying to lose weight or if you're counting your carbohydrate intake due to diabetes. Here are some tips to help you with your carbohydrate intake. Try whole grains such as brown rice, whole grain pasta, bulgur, couscous, and quinoa instead of the white bread cereals, pasta, and rice. Choose whole fruits as snacks and desserts. Keep raw cut-up vegetables handy for quick snacks. Choose colorful dark green, orange, and red vegetables. Eat the rainbow. Add beans and peas or unsalted nuts and seeds to salads, soups, and side dishes. These are also great sources of dietary fiber and protein. For drinks, stick to water, unsweetened teas, and coffee. We have another segment dedicated to counting carbohydrates and label comparison in our diabetes section. Move on to vitamins and minerals. This is the part that often gets overlooked by consumers. Vitamins are organic substances that are naturally present in many plants and animal products. The human body also makes vitamin D and K. There are 14 vitamins that may be listed on the nutrition facts label. Minerals are inorganic substances that are found naturally in soil and water. They are absorbed by plants, which are then eaten by people and other animals. There are 14 minerals that may be listed on the nutrition facts label. The human body needs the right mix of nutrients for good health. Vitamins and minerals are found in a variety of foods including beans and peas, dairy products, eggs, fortified foods, fruits, grains, meats and poultry, nuts and seeds, seafood, soy products, and vegetables. And now on to the ingredients. In addition to the nutrition facts label, the ingredients list is also important. Ingredients are listed in descending order by weight, so the ingredient that weighs the most in the product is listed first, and the ingredient that weighs the least is listed last. This is important information especially for people with specific dietary needs and allergies. These are the most important components of the nutrition facts label. Make sure you practice label reading to select the best food products for health and longevity.